locally based and Australian owned, Best Team Sport offers ready-made stock and custom sportswear, accessories and club equipment for peak performance on and off the field. Best Team Sport is your one-stop professional football supply. Elevate your game. Contact JK and the team at Best Team Sport, Unit 120 Narrowbank Way in Belrose, or shop online at bestteamsport.com.au and get kitted out today. The best in home entertainment and appliances, with great service, great value, great brands and great prices. Head in stores to Bingley, Balgala or Monavale and let their friendly teams help you find exactly what you need. Or visit online anytime at bingley.com.au. Bingley, better living every day.
Good evening, everybody. A very warm welcome under the setting sun to the northern beaches of Sydney for round 20 action in the NPL New South Wales men's competition. 13th versus 14th in a battle down the bottom, Manly United hosting St George FC. The underlying narrative leading into tonight for both these teams is the hope that was present early in the season has just showed glimpses of re-emerging over the past couple of weeks. Manly United, unfortunate not to have taken all 3 points off third place Sydney United 58 last Friday night, and Vlado Knežević looks to be building a team that can compete with the best, even if a little shorter on talent than those up the top. St George's losing streak lasted an eternity, but they finally broke their duck last week, becoming the first team to beat UNSW at the Village Green in the NPL. So something to build on for Brian Brown as they try and lift themselves out of the relegation scrap. Opportunity knocking tonight for both combatants. So let's take you to the 22 that are walking into battle. 2 changes for Knežević to the team that got a 1-1 draw here last Friday night. Mackenzie Siron is back in goal. Jesse Perez and Aaron O'Driscoll alongside Kikeru Ono at the heart of defence. And happy to have Jasper Chipman back in after 3 weeks out under concussion protocols. That means that Luke Neuenhoff slides into midfield alongside Saxon Hillier. Kai Evans is recalled to start on the left wing. Stefan de Robillard, the hero of last Friday, off the right. And Sam Griffiths partnering Darcy Burgess as the front two. Just one change for Brian Brown. 4 goals they put past UNSW 7 days ago. And so Nick Soros resumes in goal. It's the same back four. Nick Calageru, Mark Rodic, Pat O'Shea and Jaden Cito. Justin Poon starts on the right. Caden Wright through the middle. He's their top scorer this season. Evan Souris and Chris McStay, the lone change at the point of the triangle in midfield. Jaden Casella and Rocco Smith complete the lineup. And we are underway. Another tricky away trip for St George. But they've shown now they've got the stomach for the fight. They'll need heart and soul on this tough away day. And it all lends itself to a tight, tense encounter. 2 teams that were devoid of form really over the past month or so. Finally reclaiming and refining some. Manly United were extremely unfortunate not to come away with all 3 points against the early season premiership leaders. For St George, that 6-game run at the start of the season, before Soros' injury, where they kept 6 clean sheets in a row under coach Rafa Marie, who has since departed. Seems a long time ago, but little embers of hope that they're hoping to stoke over the next few days. Manly straightforward, though. It's been a no-holds-barred start from the hosts, and de Robillard is full of confidence and goal-scoring ability. Burgess in there, Wright carrying out some defensive duties. Hasn't he been in some form? Caden Wright moved from a fullback at the start of his senior career into the heart of midfield and has barely lost his place since Brian Brown came to the club. One of the most successful coaches at this level of competition, most notably his time out at the Bodyrig White Eagles. It was a fair while ago, though. We've gone from the youngest coach in the competition in Rafael Marie, who's not yet 30, to one of the most experienced. Slowly improving performances. The result last week was vindication for the work they've been doing behind the scenes. And happy to have McStay back. Strange little time he had out. We'll get to that in a moment. There's a turnover there, though. De Robillard. Confidence flowing through him. Just a little error in his touch that took him away from goal. He's happy to retain possession through Perez. The skipper, one of the no-nonsense characters around the competition. Doesn't live for the limelight, but such a serviceable clubman. One of those who leads more through his actions than his words. Lone remaining member of this squad that was involved in the 2022 Grand Final against Blacktown City out at Combank Stadium. is Caden Wright. Calogero happy to clear his lines. It's been a fast start from the host, but St George looking to come back in kind. Chris McStay, who's just turned 30. Maybe a couple of years ago would have had the legs to run that down, but to be honest, that was never the key to his game. His ball-playing ability. He's a wizard over a dead ball. Spent some time out. A short stint where he wasn't able to train or play. Very happy to have his services back. Managed to get on the score sheets, and his return off the bench last weekend, late on in that game, and winning his spot in the starting side tonight. Off young Rafa Costa, who's available off the bench tonight. He's impressed in bits and pieces as well. That small travelling St George contingent. There's a very loud horn that is coming across on the effects mic. Solid crowd in at the far post again. Not too many places better to watch football around New South Wales. That little bar built into the side of Cromer Park. It's not always been a free scoring affair when these two have met since St George's promotion to the First Division back in 2024. 0-0 draw on St George's last visit here. This game doesn't look as though it's following the same pattern. De Robillard has got the bit between his teeth. He turns Rodic inside and out. The delivery is good, and the ball is just wide. Griffiths tried a last gasp effort, only found the side netting, but it's been a very bright start from Manly United, all led by Stefan De Robillard. $11 goals in his 28 starts for Sydney United. He was in and out of the side there over the past couple of seasons under two different managers. Came to Manly United looking for regular football. He's certainly got that, and his performances seem to be improving week on week as well. Here's Hillier. One for Ono, one of the two Japanese players who started last weekend. Ayumu Kimura's out of the squad altogether tonight. Griffiths drifting wide. Next to who's been in conversation around the national setup without making his first appearance for his country. As has this young man, Jasper Chipman, out for 3 weeks due to a concussion picked up, but back in the heart of defence again. Starting life in first grade as a central midfielder. Little doubt that Vlado Knezovic is seeing him more as a centre half, and he's filling into that role well next to Aaron O'Driscoll. Hillier through the forest of red shirts in front of him. Calogero half away. De Robillard. Ono happy to retain possession. It's been a dominant start here from the host. Not exactly what Brian Brown was looking for off the back of the solid performance last week, which started with them in the ascendancy. Alex Molchanoff along with you on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel tonight. Remember, you can find all 8 games across the men's this weekend, all 7 games from the women's, as you can every week. Highlights, match reports, all the extras around the competition from our match of the round in both competitions as well. Just search at NPL NSW, whichever social media platform takes your fancy, from TikTok to Instagram, Facebook and X. We are there, keeping you up to date with all the action from New South Wales top tier state football. Neuenhoff's turn to carry the ball forwards, and he's searching for Griffiths, who's made the willing run. Rodic across in cover and brought him down, and the referee, I thought he was shaping Roman Fisher to point to the spot, but it was to wave the appeal away. And Sam Griffiths just having an inquiry or two as he returned to his feet. He wasn't appealing outright for the decision. Wasn't too much of a noise from the Lucas Neal stand either. And they can get boisterous here. Doesn't always start that way. It tends to end that way, though, as the game wears on, particularly with such stakes around this one tonight. Whoever takes the 3 points will really have hauled themselves quite a way clear of the promotion relegation battle should Blacktown City fall to RPL Leichhardt tomorrow. Because the risk is, if you fall, Blacktown just a point behind may well be overtaking you. In St George's case anyway. Upset win for Manly United would see them dragged into that position, but a victory tonight could raise them as high as 10th. That's how tight and congested it is down there. As it is, as Pires is making his way into the area, and the right fullback has won his team an attacking set piece. Showing his value getting forward. I mentioned Chipman started his life as a central midfielder. That's where Jesse Pires was used most often by Adam Griffiths during his time here. Most managers since have seen him more as a fullback, and he carries out those duties with great aplomb. And he's now at the end of what looks like a conga line of forwards for Manly United up to attack this one. Ozono makes his way out to the left, and now they split, and the ball is deep, and Chipman wasn't too far away from getting there. Watchful defending from Pat O'Shea. His in statement to the heart of St George's defence. He was in and out of the starting lineup under Rafa Marie. 5 straight starts now under, or 6 straight starts actually, with the selection tonight under Brian Brown. And the most experienced. Still waiting for club captain Troy Danascus as well. He's had a couple of different injury issues. Some of his almost been without them over his career so far. And now Rocco Smith and Jasper Chipman have been getting fairly familiar in the early stages. That's why Ron Fisher's just delayed this goal kick. New role for Rocco Smith over the past couple of weeks as well. It went well last weekend with him getting on the score sheet for the first time for St George FC in league football. Came through at the Central Coast Mariners as a central defender, but he's been used as a physical target man. And he's shown an eye for goal. One of the old Matty Simon days with number 2 on his back, playing as the centre forward. So A-League fans of a decade or so ago will remember. Might be even longer than that now. Jaden Sito playing forward. Smith trying to link up with the run from McStay. Not quite able to, but diligent in his defensive duties. Not allowing Chipman to play out with no pressure. Feeling there's a lot of parallels between these two football clubs at the moment. There's a feeling that their youth will blossom into talent that can take them to the top half. A challenge for both clubs, particularly Manly United, more than St George, has been retaining the talent that they've developed. St George haven't had too bad a luck with that. One of the standouts has been that man, Jaden Sito, and Evan Soros, who scored his first goal in more than a year last week, and it will be a goal of the season contender. A bending effort from the best part of 25 yards. Gave Tristan Prendergast no chance. Gorgeous first touch from de Robillard. Alive to the danger was Calageru. And now Smith. Casella nips it off the toe of Pires. Forceful win from O'Driscoll. This is turning into a bit of a basketball game at the start of this. Been eminently watchable. Well, there's a chance to try and get a shot away for Evans. He squares it up for Hillier. Can strike them. Not able to keep that ball on target. "21 years of age now. Been in and around first grade systems for about 3 seasons. Saxon Hillier was brought through under Patrick Svansvik, who was a big fan of him. Taken for a year by the Western Sydney Wanderers. Had some injury problems there, and it's really been an ever-present in the heart of midfield since he's got over them at the start of this season. Both teams trying to play, trying to be aggressive. Expected a tight tussle. They are giving us exactly that. And there's no real set rhythm or pattern to this game yet. Souris goes the agricultural route. O'Driscoll over the top of Smith. The Irishman winning it off the coastie. The decision's gone in Manly United's favour. Manly were on the back foot for the majority of the first half last week. Against Sydney United, came out a changed and improved outfit in the second 45 minutes. Started brighter tonight. You see the experience of Mark Rodich there, had a hold of Griffiths the whole way. Timed his challenge. Chipman. DeRobillard. Gorgeous turn between two St George players, and Rowan Fisher right on the spot. Spots a tug on the shirt from Kalajeru. Very promising attacking situation now for the hosts. DeRobillard's been the player of the opening, just shy of a quarter of an hour. Darting in between the lines, coming inside off the left wing. His initiative has created this opportunity from the set piece, and Burgess floats the ball deep. Smith back, lending out a hand defensively, not a situation he's unfamiliar with, just forced to nod the ball behind. So that line of Manly United bodies forms again. My count, I think there's 6 of them. Split off as Ono delivers, and Chipman's the target. O'Shea commanding. DeRobillard. Well, and you can see what the St George supporters think of that. Well, the slogan you're seeing across all the kits and jerseys this year is real football homegrown. Behind the Wahoo banner at the northern end of Cromer Park, it does not get any realer than that. This famous old football club still draws a following. Not as big as it once was when they were playing out of St George Stadium, but back in their spiritual home at the opening of Barton Park a few years ago, just across the way. McStay's full of energy at his return to the starting side. His press forced the error from his former team. Well, not his former teammate. They didn't overlap their time at St George FC, but Cyril was there a year ago. Turning back to the era of Sydney he grew up in this season. Had some groin, thigh problems over the past couple of months. Been happy to have him back in there. Hasn't faced too many early problems. Largely a spectator. That's not to say Soros has been overly worked, but he's just had to be a little more focused. It's been interesting watching Manly United this year. There's been a lot of teams that have come here and been happy to sit off, let them have possession, and that's been with good reason. They seem to be more effective in transition, but despite that, they're the 4th highest possession holders in league football this year. To put that in context, the only ones who have had more of the ball in their respective games are the top 3, Apia, Marconi and Sydney United. 5th on that list is St George FC. We continue to talk about the parallels between the two. Possession-based football hasn't always brought results, but it's what Vlado Knežević is trying to develop, and you're seeing the fruit there as Neuenhoff and Burgess link up. Just lacking that final ball. Press almost resulted in a sloppy turnover. I think Justin Boone might have got away with one there. Seemed to be holding Burgess back. And Rowan Fisher was actually over having a chat to him, but didn't blow for the free kick. So he spotted something. Said about 10 minutes ago, this game hadn't settled into its pattern. It has now. Sort of a mid-block from St George FC, and Manly United trying to break them down for the majority of the last 10 minutes. Chipman to play with the ability to catalyse attacks that are dangerous in nature. Not able to unpick the lock there. Plays it to O'Driscoll, the Irishman. He's missed just the one start this season. He's missing just a solitary one last year as well. Good ball in from Evans, and it was nearly the two youngsters combining. Griffiths trying to steer the ball on target. Almost got too good a connection on it. Just wanted to redirect that ball. Caught it towards his toe. And Soros watchful, allowing it to travel wide. Manly's start has been promising without posing consistent danger. It's probably picking nits. Given away nothing defensively. The defensive record this season has been sparkling. One of the biggest pitches in the competition. Doesn't lend itself to that, but consistently over the past half decade they've managed to negate oppositions from really getting into their flow in an attacking sense. And Rodic playing out with a sloppy ball there. Burgess for Evans. Well, it was desperate tackling there, but all was fair, said the referee, as Caden Wright won the ball back. And McStay, who has this brilliant ball-playing ability, right on the money for Casella. Ball closed down by Perez, but forced to concede the corner. You see what Chris McStay, brings to a team with that ball out there. One touch, a turn, and then a 40-yard raking pass that fell to Casella in his stride. He's usually over a lot of these set pieces too, Chris McStay, but staying on the edge of the box for this one. Justin Poon entrusted. St George set to attack it with 5 in the area. O'Driscoll, the first man not beaten. It might fall for McStay here. Oh, there was Griffiths being brought down off the ball. Attack continues for the visitors. This has been their best period of the match, and a turnover from Poon might see them caught in counter-attack. Casella, physical but fair, and then turn the ball over again. Hillier. Robillard was making the run forwards. It was well cut out by O'Shea. And it all settles in Manly's favour again, although I might have liked to spring forward a little quicker than they're able to now. I'll say thank you to joining us. Thank you to you for joining us tonight on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. It has been a big day of football around the world. You're up for the Socceroos at 5 a.m. Not the result we were looking for, but follow up against Paraguay on Friday as they try and get out of the group. This is where it all begins, the grassroots. McStay having a little kick out and a hand of apology to Kikeroan, who didn't look too impressed with the challenge. Casella doing brilliantly to keep the ball in play. He's not had quite the goal output this season without his old mate by Antonio up in support as he was last year. They played some of the most thrilling football in the competition last year, St George. It was direct, it was attacking. And those two were often the fulcrum, but the goal output has fallen a little for Casella. He's playing less central than he was a year ago. It's probably part of the reason, as well as the form slump that his team have been in. And there's so much one player can do to drag you out of that. In turn of some experienced heads as well. Rodic back there, as I mentioned, O'Shea getting that run of starts. Soros back between the sticks. Kept a couple of clean sheets, and he was close to keeping clean sheets in his first couple of games, and disappointed to concede a very soft goal in the St George derby, but since then has been close to back to his best. His team are trying to give him a lead to defend, as they did last week. They're not managing to break down Manly just yet. That's a really poor ball from Nieuwenhof, battled out by the fact that Poon was almost blindsided by it. Quarter of the way through this match, it's been a good watch without delivering too many clear-cut chances. Nieuwenhof. Announcement that brother Callum will be returning to Australia in the new A-League men's season. Just some time away in Scotland, only on loan. Memory serves me correctly, that deal, so good to see him back. Broke through with Sydney FC a number of years ago now. Spent some time with the Western Sydney Wanderers as well. The only Manly United player out there with an A-League playing brother. Max Burgess, brother of Darcy, was the Premiership winning captain with the Newcastle Jets in his deep lying role this year. First division of Australian football. Interesting to say, the Australia Cup draw on Monday at 7:30, and Sydney Olympic have their name back in the hat. Last time they were there, the two brothers took each other on. Game at Belmore. Max was playing at Sydney FC. Darcy was at Sydney Olympic, where he broke through. Oh, Rowan Fisher having a good long look at that. It didn't look to be a lot of jostling involved, as Casella made a play. In fact, it was Sito who made a play for the ball. A little bit too physical with his opponent that time. George, I mentioned that losing run, which they'll be hoping to forget. So one of only 2 wins in 3 months, both of them in cup competition. It's a long time to go without even getting a draw in league football. Only a couple shy of breaking the Melita Eagles record of 14 for managing to gain that win at UNSW. Because they could have equalled it tonight. Say we're pretty glad that that's not the case. It's making for an entertaining relegation battle, actually, the way they started the season and now been dragged back down amongst a glut of teams. There's a few different storylines to pick apart in the NPL New South Wales this season in that sense. Sutherland's win earlier today over the Western Sydney Wanderers has taken them back into the Australian Championship qualifying spot. The top 4 all foundation members. That tournament getting back underway at the beginning of October. To the 16 finals series, the NPL New South Wales. Final day on the last weekend of August before a couple of weeks of finals football. Nice play from Sito. Right. McStay. This is better from St George. Poon onto this. Dangerous ball. He picks out Smith at the back post, really. That's just a step or two behind where he wanted it, and was very firmly played by Justin Poon. Not quite able to find his number 2, but that was really nice interplay. And now Chris McStay asking who was behind him to press. Hillier allowed to stride away from danger without pressure. And now De Robillard has his defender isolated. That's well done from Calagiero and better supported by Caden Wright. Brilliant in screening across his defence. Poon and McStay on different pages as they tried to play out. Hillier for Griffiths. Rodic has had his number to this point. It's been a physical encounter between those two. Perez for Hillier, growing in influence. Evans brought into the starting lineup today for Ayumu Kimura, the Japanese import. Oh no, his countryman. O'Driscoll past the press and into a dangerous area. Griffiths into the channel. Rodic across in cover, and Griffiths lost his footing at the vital moment. Found a purple patch of goal-scoring form a month or two ago, Sam Griffiths, where he scored in back-to-back games. A little time away for the 18-year-old. To Belrose Terry Hills Jr. from the Manly Association. Commanding win from Chipman. Audacious backheel from Griffiths. Almost found de Robillard. Nice touch from Smith. Been a lot of chaotic play like that from both teams tonight. It's been occasionally effective, not consistently though. Smith. Backheel from McStay this time. Couldn't find the underlapping Caligiero. Clearance is only half effective from a Manly United perspective. Burgess has helped out his teammate, and Hillier away from the attention of Caden Wright. Pires takes the ball on the run off his chest. Very good defending from Sito to win the throw. St George's mentioned their promotion back in 2023. It was dramatic and only claimed their place in the promotion relegation playoff on the final day. Managed to beat Mount Druitt Town Rangers over 2 legs by 2-1. This was the man who scored the dramatic late goal on the final day, Justin Poon, lobbing that ball over the top. Watchful defending from O'Driscoll. Casella so off the headache for opposition defences. And to continue that point on St George, they played their first game in the competition for a decade here on a Friday night to open the 2024 season. It's their third visit. It's a win in the last two. I mentioned that 0-0 draw last time. They fell that evening by 3-0. Goals that night to Stefano Rossello, now departed at St George City. Harry McCarthy is at Rockdale Illingdon, and Ben Cooper's on the bench tonight. Well, that's a good ball. Neuenhoff opens the scoring. Gorgeous bit of interplay down the left. And Luke Neuenhoff on the end of it. Back into midfield tonight and showing his scoring boots. Beautifully played in by Ono, who picked him out with a low cross. And he was unmarked. Central tucks the ball expertly into the corner. Manly United 1, St George FC 0. Just after the half-hour mark. And I think they'll feel they'll deserve that. Put together some promising passages of attacking play, but that was the real knife through butter stuff. A flowing, really pretty move. From an aesthetic sense. St George would be a little worried as to quite how Neuenhoff found himself with that much time and space. And Soros is under pressure playing out. Could they double their money? De Robillard. Good challenge initially from Rodic, but it still ricocheted to the feet of Manly's left winger. Burgess. Hillier not able to pick out Evans. But they've been buoyed by that opening goal. Why not? Mentioned at the top of the broadcast, I felt hard done by not to come away with all 3 points. Only Adam Pavlicic really saving Sydney United on Friday nights. 2 masterful saves in stoppage time. But I don't think too many other goalkeepers across the competition would have kept out. That result could have been so different, but this result would take them 5 points clear. Suris is not one to shirk a challenge, but he caught plenty of Stefan de Robillard there. I've been working hard through the middle of the park, St George. They just looked second to a lot of those balls. Manly have capitalised on that. Brian Brown's come in with, well, certainly McStay playing closer to a second striker role than at the point of midfield, and at different times Manly have exploited that. Burgess' delivery has plenty of depth, though Driscoll kept it in. I thought he'd put too much on that. It was brilliant work from the Irishman to keep it in play, and it almost caught the St George defence cold. That would have been a hammer blow had Manly found a second just moments after opening the scoring. They still might. Griffiths. Not the cleanest strike. Couple of half chances that have fallen to him tonight that he's not been able to really test Soros with. Getting into promising positions though. And St George have got some questions happening amongst their back line over the past 5 minutes or so. Manly are having a free run of it when they take the ball towards their attacking penalty area. Hasn't been the performance they've been looking for to follow up the win last week to this point, but that can all change. Still plenty of football to be played. Masterful defensive work from Perez, who not only won the ball off Casella, won his side of the throw as well. Been a really engaging start to this game, and all it was missing was a goal. Luke Neuenhoff has provided that, his third of the season. This one has been in and around A-League academies at different times, and he's come back to Manly, a real polished player. I think he's enjoying the freedom he's getting back in the centre of midfield tonight as well. He and Neely have controlled this game really with their play through the middle of the park. And Sam Griffiths has been handy up top as well. Draws the visitors into another foul. Tell you what, there is some concern here though. Luke Neuenhoff's freedom might be about to end. Aaron O'Driscoll, it's going to be the end of his night, the big Irishman. Doug John, who was one of the changes I mentioned, Kimura. John made his starting debut last week, was very impressive. Played out the 90 minutes. Last year's Lucas Neal medal winner here for most promising young junior. So Neuenhoff and Chipman are the new look and very young central defensive duo. He's got a reputation for working with youth. That's part of the reason he was brought in here at Manly United, Vlado Knežević, and has no problem in trusting the youngsters. An occasion just over a month ago where they started with this defensive duo and young Harry Turner, the 18-year-old goalkeeper behind them. Neuenhoff 22, Shipman 19. Goalkeeper adding a little bit more seniority. At the age of 26, I don't think Mac would be too pleased with me calling him a senior player, but amongst this lot, that's what he is. As is Darcy Burgess, who feeds Evans. Another one of these promising teenagers, and it's a good shot that's turned away, and then are coming together. Again, Rowan Fisher waves away Sam Griffiths' appeal for a penalty. And John straight into the action. Knezovic thinks his team might have had more of a case than the first time around, and then just leaving a foot in there was Kai Evans as Sito cleared the ball. Got him a talking to from Rowan Fisher, one of the better young referees across the competition. Certainly spoken about very highly by most clubs, as highly as any referee is. Vlado Knezovic is in some discussions with both Vlado Knezovic and his assistant Daniel Petkovsky down there. And Blake Sanchez-Cruz is still conversing as play continues. And now it's Pires who had to bring down Casella illegally because he'd been beaten by the first touch. And has wriggled his way out of a booking. The Manly United skipper, walking a very fine tightrope. And now it's the St George bench who are a little unhappy. Who'd be a referee? I tend to agree they have a case there. Jesse Pires, with Casella bearing down on certainly an attacking move. Plenty of referees who would have reached for the pocket there. Been keen not to show too many yellow cards, which I think is appreciated by the players generally. Not Jaden Casella on that occasion. He's got a chance to deliver from this free kick. It's a testing ball. And Sam Griffiths is back there lending a hand. And Douglas John is given a shoulder by Chris McStay, but managed to keep the ball in play. That's welcome to first grade, young man. Manly have got to throw up on halfway. I mentioned that John last week in his starting debut didn't look out of place whatsoever, and he just bounced straight back up to his feet there. No problem whatsoever. There was a look towards the referee, but no great complaints. Souris. St George looked better in the last 5 minutes or so. Casella's got another ball to run for. He goes flying as he tried to cross that time. And he's stayed down here, Jaden Casella, really stretching every sinew to try and get to that ball. And we're going to call on the physio for a quick look at the number 10. It looked as though he fell awkwardly. Both feet coming off the ground. He landed very hard. Mackenzie Ciron's over to, I think, check on his former teammate. Maybe he's suggesting that he can receive treatment over there while the game gets back underway. Just wondering whether he might be a little more sympathetic. And Casella's now done the old roll back onto the field of play, so things can't restart. So St George are down to 10 for the moment. He's still right on that byline. Here's Neuenhoff. Manly attacking with a man extra at the moment. Might be encouraged to move the ball forward quickly. That's what Pires tried to do with not enough accuracy. Calageru for Smith. Well held up by Chipman. Won the second ball as well. A gorgeous first touch from de Robillard. Linking up with Griffiths, and then the back heel for Hillier. It's superb stuff from Manly. Can they finish it off? De Robillard! Souris hasn't dealt with it. The second opportunity is turned away as well. Evans bearing down on goal. Had to go with his head. He still might get another chance, Kai Evans. Plays provider, ball behind Griffiths. And St George escape. And it really was an escape. Nick Souris to thank for keeping them just the solitary goal behind in the shadows of half-time. You've just seen Manly's shot count. That is by far in their favour. 6 shots on target to 0. from their visitors. Has been a game they've dominated to this point. A tetchy opening, but St George have steered off the rails since having that promising period 5 minutes or so ago. Defence is looking a little ropey. Hilliard. Back to their full complement at least. Jaden Casella's back to his feet and back in his defensive position, which will help out. Neuenhoff, the goal scorer. Now finding himself in the heart of defence after the earlier injury to Aaron O'Driscoll. Did make his own way off, the Irishman. Hopefully it's not a long-term concern. Experienced heart of Manly United's defence so far this season. So, since the departure of Alan Aganovich to the Northern Tigers, who are in a promotion race of their own, sitting in the Pro-Rel playoff for the League One sides. Behind top of the table, Blacktown Spartans, who might be making a return to the competition for the first time in 10 years. If they can hold on to that spot. Knezovic should be happy with the performance so far. I think he'd love a second goal before half-time, though. Like Sanchez-Cruz, our fourth official, just about to indicate to us how long we should expect added on at the end of this first half. Manly readying themselves for the corner kick. Burgess doesn't beat Smith. Stays swivelling away from Ono, but the ball falls to Hilliard, and Burgess will get a second bite. The underlapping run of Ono. This time it's Caden Wright doing the clearing. Casella, this is where he was so dangerous a year ago. And John just takes the ball, sees the pressure, and feeds it to Evans with minimal fuss. So, young Manly team growing in confidence week on week. Certainly at home here. Burgess into the mid-drift of Caden Wright. A couple of appeals for handball. It's fallen in their favour, and Rowan Fisher's actually pointed for an advantage, so maybe he did spot an arm in there. Evans, it's been lively. Winning his starting spot back tonight. Pires. It's a bit of a hit and hope cross, but it still might fall for Kikeru Ono. Caligeri didn't get great purchase on the header. Chipman, still looking to go forward in the dying embers of the first half. Why not? Carpe diem for the hosts. No doubt this will swing back in St George's favour at some point. They've seemed too good a team over the past couple of weeks to just let the game pass them by, but this will be looking to make hay while the sun shines. Seen the effect of stoppages during the World Cup over in the United States with the addition of drinks breaks. Certainly don't need that here in Manly tonight. Cool temperatures, around 16 degrees at kickoff. And now the hosts might just be happy to play out until full time. Or half time, I should say. Be a long 45 minutes, wouldn't it? Oh no. Burgess. Been creative with those touches. Not been afraid to take risks tonight, Manly, and it might pay off. Evans! Just had to stretch a little too far. Lobbed the ball over Soros, but over the top of the crossbar as well. Evans appealing for a foul, but once you get the shot away, referees are loath to give penalty kicks for that sort of thing. See, it was Sito who did come across in cover, beaten to the ball by Evans. And Manly United, perhaps a little unfortunate not to have doubled their lead after opening the scoring through Luke Neuenhoff, his third of the season, just after the half-hour mark. And it's the hosts who have been the dominant force. St George FC have not been able to force a shot on target. Mackenzie Siron's had a comfortably quiet night to this stage. But 45 minutes still to come here from Cromer, where Manly United lead St George FC by a goal to nil. Sydney United regathering themselves for one last attack. One last raid on Manly United's goal before half-time. Coco's delivery away by Neuenhoff, and Rule can strike them from there. Chimenti punishes the error. A hit and hope from Bailey Rule, not dealt with by Manly United. Find a goal in the last few minutes here or there. They won't have scored at home in more than 2 months. They could change that here to Robillard! Against his old club. It's a sweet strike.
Knocked away. I'll go again through Poon. Delivers into the middle. Pinball in the box. And it's Rocco Smith who delivers the blow. Up in the top 6 at the moment. Nudges the head of Smith. Soris comes to find it. Fires! A rocket from Evan Soris. And it is Poon goes direct. Does it trickle in? The second time around it did, if it needed it at all. We've seen this before from Jyden Harb. A nice delivery into the middle. Header in a dangerous position, and it's eventually Lopez who gets the final head on it. Home. Chris McStay, as Prendergast runs back, they're taking their time with it. St George FC, McStay off the left, buries it in the bottom corner. That breaks the drought. 13 games in a row, no win.
George City trying to build. Here's Demoto. Pedersen can turn and shoot and score! Goals in consecutive games for Jon Pedersen. And through goes Katrib. Don't forget that Jackson is on a yellow. Katrib down to Hasarati, and the shot from Chop. It'll be followed in here by Cameron! Jesse Cameron grabs an equaliser.
Turned over, and it's fallen to Travis Major right on the edge of the area. He lets it go, and off the post and in for Travis Major. You cannot give him space around the edge of the area. From Korai Tanaka, and that's a good ball up ahead to another goal coming maybe for Travis Major, and he puts it away. The comeback on that day, it's Nick Olsen, chips it past with absolute composure. Ice cold from Nick Olsen to get the Sharks fans up and about here at Seymour Shore.
It is. Here's Costa Petrados to step up now. It's the run-up, taking the shot, and Costa Petrados slots it away and makes it 1-0 here at Christie Park. Nice and early. Carreras gets the right way, but the precision is Kobayashi, who's got space to run here. It's not a bad ball there. There's Spirit. Shots on, Petrados makes it 2! The counter-attack was there, and Costa Petrados makes it 2-0. To force, and Costa Petrados gets the hat-trick. He can take home the ball. A lovely flick, and it is 3-0.
That ball is good. Jordan's header, and it's in. Opening goal for Apia. Here's Farinella. Ortiz deflected shot, and it's looped into the goal. Dream start for Apia.
Here is Hannigan now, still with the ball. He goes out now, there's Rag. Cleared in. It's a back heel, and it's fallen in the back of the net! And it is a goal for SD Raiders. The substitute himself, Jakub Malbasa, with the flick, makes it 1-0 to SD.
Come in and see the team at Car Mazda or visit their website to do a test drive at www.carmazda.com. Chase Projects Construction Company is based on the Northern Beaches, focusing on high-end architecturally designed homes. Their local personal and highly professional team provides clients with a unique edge, and their reputation for excellence reinforces their standing as industry leaders. This year, they are excited to be supporting the growth and development of our Manly United FC family. Check out their impressive portfolio of homes, Instagram, Facebook, or visit chaseprojects.com.au. Should make quick mention as well, ladies and gentlemen, and a big congratulations to go out to your Manly United FC women's, who won 2-0 on a Wednesday night against Northern Tigers and have qualified for the final of the Sapphire Cup. And they'll be playing against UNSW in a couple of weeks' time, so make sure, ladies and gentlemen, you set your dates ready to go support your Manly United FC women who have made the final of the Sapphire Cup. Metronics is the largest independent office equipment supplier in Australia, with 32 years experience and 18 offices nationwide. With a wide range of IT solutions, including printing and copying, electronics, workplace furniture, both technology and business supplies, they will ensure that your IT and business requirements are met, ensuring maximum comfort in your business with no downtime. Check them out at metronics.com.au or give them a call at 207 122 and do your business with Metronics, proud supporters of your Manly United FC.
NSW, young Rafael Costa, who's come to the left-hand side. It looks as though Jaden Casella is going to move into the middle in a slight adjustment. Manly United unchanged going into half-time. They did make one substitution beforehand, with Aaron O'Driscoll copping a knock and having to go off. So Douglas John into the heart of midfield. Neuenhoff, after scoring the opener, back to partner Jasper Chipman in defence. That has looked fairly sturdy. St George didn't manage a shot on target in the first 45 minutes. They'll be looking to change that and find a way back into this game. My name's Alex Molchanoff, along with you on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel tonight, wherever you're joining us from. Thank you very much for your company. Eminently watchable first half. Nick Soros making a good double save after St George had suffered the opening goal of the game. Sam Griffiths has been the one who's had those half chances falling his way. Not quite been able to snaffle one just yet. Game that's growing an underlying physicality. Desperation between these two. A relegation threatened, although not right in the mix. 13th versus 14th coming into tonight. St George could be dragged into the Pro Roll playoff spot if Blacktown City manage a result against RPL Leichhardt at London Stadium tomorrow. They're going as heavy underdogs there, but another of the teams in this glut down in the bottom half that have found some sort of form over the last month or so. Those two certainly in that category. Manly United's play with the ball in the first half was particularly encouraging for Vlado Knežević. Still some things to work on for the Serbian head coach, but largely, I think we're pretty pleased with how that first half unfolded. Brian Brown, with all those years of experience at the helm of St George FC now, having all these problem-solving skills to try and map a path out of this one. Even a point would be precious. Down the bottom, a reminder for those of you not familiar with the NPL New South Wales, the bottom of the 16 sides goes straight down to the second division, League One as it's called now. Second bottom goes into promotion relegation playoff over two legs, with the second place finishing team in that competition, which is exactly how St George won promotion back in 2023 in the first ever iteration of that little tie. Haven't relinquished their place in the top flight since. Club with so much history, its ties to the Hungarian community in southern Sydney, occupying the most famous football stadium for much of the 80s and 90s. Time in the National Soccer League as well. Or the boyhood club, once he'd moved to Australia, of the late great Les Murray. Still wearing the red, white and green of that Hungarian heritage. Budapest, as they were known then. Manly United with their own background of Dutch culture, funnily enough. Nederlandia, as they were in their very early years, before the merger between Manly and Freshwater and a couple of other different iterations this club has taken on. Most importantly for this area, they've been a representative in the top division of State League football since the early 2000s. Haven't relinquished that place for more than 2 decades now. It's not a record they want to tarnish in season 2026. Going about it the right way when they're opening half of football tonight. Coming under a bit of pressure here early in the second. Chance for Costa to deliver. It's more in hope. I don't know. Ono was quite aware of his surroundings, and a St George player or two who thought he'd got a touch as the ball travelled behind. Not to be. And Rowan Fisher is just going to have a word to Mackenzie Siron about keeping play moving with this goal-to-nil advantage. No No surprises there. St George now in the second half attacking towards their small travelling contingent. They've made a lot of noise. We had a couple of horns down there that have been present through your effects, Mike, through the first half and into the second now. Here's Mark Roddick. He's had his hands full with Griffiths, but won that ball high up the pitch. There's a second bite to nod it down for Caden Wright. He and Poon and Roddick all falls down at the foot of Calagiero, unfortunately. Towering header from Griffiths. Good bit of link-up play from the 19-year-olds, and in back play Wright went down. I don't know whether he was caught by Burgess. Certainly there was a coming together between the two. And Manly United number 10 just offering a word of apology. It didn't seem like there was anything actively untoward. Might have just been trying to shrug him off, and indeed referee Fisher sees no foul amongst that pace of play. And because it's a head injury, it's actually called for the physio here as well. And add that to the fact that Mark Roddick is over on his haunches as well, rather sat down. St George will use this opportunity just to regroup a little. One game played earlier today in this competition. Sutherland winning by 3-0 out at Wanderers Football Park. That's a good result that takes them into the Australian Championship qualifying place ahead of Rockdale's game against Olympic, although Rockdale look as though they're going to jump them. Playing comfortably at the breakout at Belmore in that old derby between the Greek-backed Olympic and Macedonian-backed Rockdale Illingdon. It doesn't look as though Mark Roddick is going to be able to continue here, so a centre-half down a piece. Or is he? Credit to Yuko was being readied. Looks as though, sure, Roddick, knowing him, won't want to come off, but body might have let him down. Calagiero's sliding in as a makeshift centre-half for the moment. And he might have an immediate threat to face up to here with Evans. Thinks better of going forward and retains possession. John and Perez and Hillier now. Shipman sends it to the Manly United number 6. John again. Picks out Perez. Hopeful ball into the middle, and it's Patrick O'Shea sliding across. Manly in no hurry. Enterprise and real pace to their play in the first half. It's just dropped a little at the beginning of the second, understandable given the lead. St George keen to press here. And then they play their way through. Neuenhoff goes route one. Bit more pace about this one. Well-directed throw from Perez for Burgess. On for Griffiths. Just enough to find de Robillard. Underlapping his own. Oh, he went for goal himself, and Soros watched the ball thunder into the side netting. Solid strike. He's already laid on an assist tonight, Kakeru Ono. Who's been quite the find. It was being played a little further forward earlier in the season as a winger more often by Vlado Knežević, but he had so much getting forward from left full back when Manly do have these extended spells of possession as they have tonight. Been really good to watch. Perez with a very crude challenge on Sito. He was late, and I think the studs caught the top of the boot as well, and so he becomes the first player booked by Rowan Fisher tonight. Heard the scream from Sito as he went over. Never tickles challenges like that. Sito is straight back to his feet, and wondering quite what catalysed him copping that treatment. Sito straight into play. Talked about just out of half-time that Casella had come into a more central position. We haven't seen him on the ball yet, though, and up to that point, McStay can't keep the ball in the attacking half. Griffiths with a hopeful ball for Ono. He's got the pace to make something of it. Sliding to cover with Calageru. Look how active the pair of ball boys down there. Fantastic, that's what you ought to see. Two youngsters very engaged in the game, trying to get their team going forwards. Didn't pay off on that occasion, but Florian Kavezovic should be as happy about that as anything. I'll tell you what, their football team really are playing some good stuff tonight. As I say, that Hillier underhits his switch of play, and well, they might be open to counter-attack. Casella. They got a response, St George. Good to see Rodic back out there. He's recovered from whatever that little knock was, and then Douglas John just leaving a foot in on Casella there. But very patient tonight, Rowan Fisher. Costa. Cito. Cito has it cut off by Neuenhoff, and after scoring the first, he might catalyse the second. Rodic commanding as he sprung out of defence. Burgess prompting, probing. Happy just to retain possession. This might be the way to victory for Manly United at the moment. St George has been more aggressive with their press since half-time, but it's still not exactly throwing caution to the wind. You see Jaden Casella waving players forward, but they were too slow that time, and that's exactly his commentary. You don't need me. Evans' delivery. Seeing Pires found a way through the press. Calageru there to sweep up. St George in counter-attack with Poon. And McStay loves these sweeping balls across field. Oh, and Costa just got stuck on his heels. And the chance is gone. Horn in the first half from the St George fans. Now they got a drum going. It hasn't helped their team though. Poor turnover from Wright by his standards. It's not a sentence us commentators say too often. That's just slightly overhit for Stefan de Robillard on the other side. Earlier meeting between these two this season at Barton Park ended in a 1-0 victory for St George FC when things were still going well. Harrison Farrow, who's back on the bench tonight, the 19-year-old, has scored 3 goals this campaign. That goal came in the 95th minute, and everything did seem to be heading in the right direction at that point in time. 5 straight wins, no goals conceded to begin the season for St George FC before everything rather fell off the rails. Seeing glimpses of their ability in counter-attack tonight. It's just not been consistent enough. Still only need a moment to find an equaliser. Manly have been on the wrong end of some late goals this season. I think Vezovic made mention of that. A quick chat I had with him last week. It's an area of improvement he's trying to see from his young group. Rather be in their position at the moment, established in their leads, comfortable in possession for the most part. The youngsters playing well. Evans was tracked there by Costa, physically. Now it's Souris' turn to get forward, just blocked off by Neuenhoff, but he initiated the contact, said the referee. Throw in Manly's way. Chris McStay was none best pleased with that non-decision. Searching for Ono. Cut off by Calageru. Rodic sorting his feet out. Right, McStay. Really has been some good football on show. For 13th and 14th in the division. Really enterprising stuff. Poon's blocked off by Shipman. Both teams looking to attack, play forward passes regularly. Might have been a turning point in that Manly United dressing room after the 0-0 draw they had here about a month ago with Blacktown City, where they had almost a monopoly on possession that night and made nothing of it. Game that was few and far between in terms of the chances either generated. Not been the case tonight. Both teams working the ball from one side to the other nicely. Evans competes with Sito. Did well to evade him as he became a prostrate body. And Chris McStay has been in dialogue with Rowan Fisher. It's been a rather one-sided conversation for the last minute, and I think the referee has run out of patience. Without booking McStay just yet, they're still in conversation as St George are about to take the throw. Shea with a firm win. It's allowed St George a path forward. Poon has not scored in nearly a year now. It's been one of the strange little subplots that's crept into St George FC season has been the lack of goals for Justin Poon. It'll be a year next week since his last goal in league football. It was a game against RB Leichhardt, funnily enough. Could he break that drought tonight? Be timely if he was able to. Really cool, calm piece of defending from Jesse Perez there to find his goalkeeper. Neuenhoff still holds the honour of being the only goal scorer tonight. O'Shea down for Sito. Hoists the ball clear. Evans. Strong enough to see off Sito, who went to ground, and then Costa side down Evans. Advantage play by the referee. Griffiths. Sito trying to recover his position back to his feet. Hillier scheming. Evans. De Robillard. Oh no, forced to go backwards. That's the sort of passage of play that Vlado Knezovic has not been as happy with. Mainly not able to find the killer pass from a promising attacking position. Could they do it in the second phase? Tell you what, Neuenhoff's switch of play was right on the money. Oh no. Goes for the cutting ball. Hillier tried to take it in his stride. O'Shea sweeps it away. And now Rowan Fisher is over to have a discussion with Rafa Costa. And Nick Soros is urging his team to show their calmer side as well now. Too much focus on the referee for the goalkeeper's liking. Robillard's goal side and was brought down. A footballing incident, said Rowan Fisher. Calageru certainly insinuating that as he returns to his feet. The danger's not clear for St George. Got a couple of penalty shouts turned away tonight, Manly United. Evans looking to go for goal himself. It took a ricochet on the way through, but it was off a Manly United foot, according to the referee. Well, with some help from the assistant, the decision becomes corner kick. Well, St George just don't feel they're getting the rub of the green at the moment. Whether that was correct or not. Certainly the feeling that set in. They're not doing themselves any favours by allowing Manly United so much possession is one thing I would say, though. It was right at the near post. Prevented the ball from going behind, did he? No. We'll do it all again. This young Dougie John is going to be given the responsibility this time around. That's more because of the height. Similar deliveries. Wait, it's curling in towards the goalkeeper. And now there's a chance at the edge of the box for Evans, who struck it sweetly. Brave block from McStay. Only building pressure up through set pieces in the last 5 minutes. The finishing line is in sight for the hosts, but it's going to be some work for them to get there yet. Love a second goal to just give them that added bit of security. All those sayings about 2-0 being a dangerous lead, I tell you what, it's a lot less dangerous than 1-0. Ono's delivery. Burgess. In the attack alive. Can he find the cutting pass? O'Shea close in attention. Perez's header sneaks in at the near post. And they do have a second. Oh, it's a collector's item. Jesse Perez. A very popular goal indeed. The whole bench up on their feet. And Manly too clear on Saturday night. Soros will be disappointed. He got a big hand to it, but the ball fired in. Could only palm it onto the post, and it ricocheted into the back of the net. And that familiar ill feeling for St George is creeping back in. It's the catalyst for a double change. No goal-scoring return for Chris McStay. It's removed after just over an hour. And Farrow, who was the hero against Manly back in March, hoping he can play some part to repeating the trick, but it's a long way back now for St George. Still yet to win at this ground since their promotion 3 years ago. And it's looking as though that record is going to continue. Talk about the difficulty of visiting Village Green. This ground has been established as a tricky travelling spot for a little longer than that spot in Randwick. And St George have got some chasing to do, which is what Harrison Farrow is doing, but Neuenhoff just saw off the attention, and his ball forward gets a big round of applause from his coach. Ono's ball forward less so. Two really well taken goals by Manly United tonight. The first beautifully crafted as well. The second, an opportunistic strike from Perez, who, as we mentioned, is such a popular figure because of the fact he's a leader through action, and got through some donkey work tonight. Had to be alert to the dangers that were offered down his flank, the speed of Jaden Casella, which he's stuck with, and now seeming to just fill in and create difficulties for Rafael Costa, who's faced up directly against him, and then stuck forward to get his name on the score sheet as well. Real leader's effort this evening. Very surprised he's not high up in the player of the match votes. Should be Darcy Burgess, who's been cool and calm through the middle. Say that of Kikero Ono as well. Set up. The opening goal for Neuenhoff. St George have not had an answer. Manly's defence the best of the competition outside the top four, despite their lowly league position. That's about to improve. And now that the goals are starting to come a little more regularly as well, I feel as though they should be pretty certain of safety, but nothing is sure in this competition. 3 points so critical when you have the opportunity to grasp them. Rarely look like giving away the momentum this evening. St George have been at the races, been a much better performance than the ones they put in over the past couple of months before last week, but we've just not quite had the energy and endeavour to match Manly United today. They have moved the ball so sweetly. It's been a real improvement on what they were producing at the start of the season. Evidence this evening. Evans is chopped down by Suris. So great with the ball at his feet last week, has barely seen it in an attacking sense tonight. So whilst there has been improvement, still questions and concerns around St George FC. Big game coming for them next week. Back at Barton Park. The most beautiful grass pitches in the competition after the threadbare state it was left in late last year. It seemed to have got the blend of topsoils and whatever else they're working on down there right this year. Welcome bottom of the table Sydney Olympic next week. 6:30 kickoff. I want that stand to be full. Should be because of the canteen option there offered down there. One of the best across New South Wales and across the Tannoy telling us that Rockdale Illington leading 4-0 at Belmore. They will be safely back up into 5th at the end of the evening. Big moves for a large ex-Manly United contingent out there now. Harry McCarthy and Ollie Wigan grew up in this area. I don't think actually featured for the first team. Harry van der Sarg, who was here a year ago, returning to the first 11 today. One game to follow to finish the slate of 4 tonight to the NPL New South Wales men's before 4 more tomorrow. St George City taking on Spirit FC and have an impact for both these two teams. City right in the relegation picture at the moment. Manly United set to jump them with this victory. Take them level of points on with SD Raiders, who travel to near neighbours, Sydney United tomorrow. That's the opening kickoff on Sunday at 2:30. Pirius rides 2 challenges and finds Griffiths, who returns the ball to him. Can he play provider now after scoring the second, Jesse Pirius? It's a long ball for de Robillard to try and chase down. Oh, an inventive effort to keep it in. Almost managed to retrieve it as well. Calageru having to work so hard for a little longer than perhaps he thought would be the case. Hillier tidy. John cool and calm, as is Newenoff. And Chipman. 4 ball players, all out of the Manly United Academy there. All local juniors. Newenoff with Curl. I'm quite going to be able to complete the set. I'll tell you his. Good ball forward from Caden Wright. Casella with the most space he's seen all evening, and the delivery not quite on the money. Ciron, in the little work he has had to do, has looked very, very cool and calm against his old team. Signed for Manly from St George over the summer. Reliably informed, he was out of the Colorado Chroma Strikers in his very younger years. 2 players scrapping over the football, and Evans losing the battle for the referee's whistle this time. He's thrown himself into everything tonight, Jaden Cito. He's going to have a few bumps and bruises tomorrow morning. Ben Coop, the Forrest Kalani Jr., looks as though he's being readied. Well, that's a poor turnover. Oh, gee, Caden Wright bailing out Pat O'Shea there. Costa. Flipped out to the right wing since the introduction of Ali Musafa. Came off the bench last weekend as well, the 19-year-old. That win against UNSW. Got some victory cigar minutes for Brian Brown. John. Oh no. Allowed to travel forward. Griffiths in a central position, but he might look to Link up with Burgess instead. That's exactly what he does. Oh, de Robillard scored from here last week. How's it go on his left? Didn't strike it with the same venom. Punished Sydney United for giving him that much room on Friday 8 days ago. Not able to repeat the trick and find a third for Manly tonight. As for Manly United, an away trip after 2 straight at home. The Wanderers off a loss. We'll welcome them next Saturday. A little bit of an earlier kickoff at 3 p.m. in Rooty Hill. In a home clash against Southern Districts Raiders. 2 teams that are playing really entertaining football at the minute. So looking forward to that one in a couple of weeks' time here. As the fans should be. And then Sutherland at home. Played a classic cup tie earlier in the year down at Seymour Shore. They got the chocolates after losing the league encounter. Rights for Muzaffar, and I'll tell you what, there was an arm used there to block that cross, I believe. So St George maybe with a chance for a lifeline with about 13 minutes to play here. Casella's been short on opportunity to show us the quality of that left boot tonight. This might be one. 2 in a wall for Ciron. A line of 6 or 7 to aim for Casella. Up was O'Shea and Rodich. And it fell to O'Shea! And Farrow's touch took it away from goal. Came to him very quickly. Would he be disappointed? That's the sort of half chance you feel St George needed to snaffle if they were to find a route back in. O'Shea had a couple of bites, the first with his head, the second with his foot. Not quite to be, and when those moments aren't going your way, it does become a little difficult. Hand off it to Sam Griffiths, who's put body and soul on the line this evening. I'll tell you what, Ben Coop's been released from the 4th official as Griffiths goes off on the far touch line. So the relative experience of Coop. He's had problems with his body over the last couple of years, a 24-year-old, but can still put in a shift for half an hour or so that can threaten defences up and down the competition. He's only found the back of the net once so far this season. More often used off the bench than he has been a starter. Game state, one that suits him with his lightning pace and ability to hold the ball up as well. It's caused headaches for teams trying to play it as St George will be for this final 10 minutes or so. Commanding win from Pires. And Coop's off. De Robillard's in behind. Can he keep his head? Couldn't keep his feet. Good challenge from Caligieri. Still there! And a very good save from Soros. Big left paw to turn the ball around his post. Burgess thought he had that side of the goal gaping. He's such an imposing figure, Soros, who covers so much ground in such little time. Good reactions there from St George's gloveman. Probably his best moment of the night, apart from the double change, the double save, I should say, just before the break. Without him, the deficit could be a little worse. Manly would love to add a third here. Goal difference. Well, we're not thinking it's going to come into consideration, but you never know. A third would be most welcome on this Saturday evening. First ball dealt with by St George. Recycled through de Robillard and now Burgess. And playing keep ball might not be the worst idea for the last 10 minutes here. Hillier thinks better of that. Says get your head on that, Neuenhoff. Half away by Rodich. Neuenhoff retains possession. Gorgeous first touch. Gets it back off Burgess and goes for goal. Why not? He's already got one tonight. Pires does the simple thing, almost finds us up in the commentary position. I don't think I've ever had a ball so close to me up here. No nonsense. Good catch from the spectator in front of us. Took it clean off the ricochet from the roof of the Lucas Neal stand. Always close to the action here. Back to the far post, the Lucas Neal stand with the seats out of the old Olympic Stadium, or in its original form. Not a bad viewing experience either. John battling with Wright. Now Burgess, who is tugged back by Souris, rather. A couple of fouls committed by Evan Souris through midfield today. In the last 15 minutes or so. Pires. Mainly trying to see out this game. Goals either side of the break. The first to Luke Neuenhoff, the second to Jesse Pires. His first goal of the season. Jaden Sito, I think he wants to get out of this game run figure without showing another booking. And now Kai Evans, who restored to the starting lineup tonight, has just gone down with it. It's a little bit of cramp affecting him. And it's the end of his night anyway. Really impressive performance from another one of the Manly United's teenagers. It's been a wrestling match for that position with Ayumu Kimura this year. Given the trust tonight and rewarded Vlado Knežević for that. A defensive change, Matt O'Donoghue's a defender by trade. Brought on for this closing 10 minutes or so, a little bit less than that. So we'll get there with stoppage time and the like. De Robelard's too worried about getting the ball there. He's going to cop a yellow card for the team as Sito set off. Doesn't stop St George's flow. Up and running again. And with the second booking of the night, both to Manly United. Pires with one in the first half. De Robelard has joined his skipper now. One last roll of the dice, looks as though it's coming from Brian Brown on the St George FC bench. Kota Tuyuka and Jaden Dorefsky set to be introduced. Souris Facito. Zafa just couldn't sort his feet out on the near side. And the United looking to build again. Hillier holding off the attention of Wright. Another one like Souris, such influence. Last week, a goal last week. Hasn't seen enough of the ball in attacking areas this evening.
Substitution for St George FC.
Double change, and Jan Casella's evening is over. Hasn't been able to unpick the lock. And Wright's night is over as well. So Tuyuka will take that spot in the centre of the park. Dorefsky. See if he and Farrow can come up with some late magic here for the visitors. Oh, Coop. Clean pair of heels shown to O'Shea. Burgess might look to do it himself or feed. Oh no! Well positioned. Mark Rodic again. Who knows where St George will be without him tonight. It's good first impact from Dorefsky to get St George going forward, but Costa turned the ball over. And Ono had got himself back on side. Another crossing position. Corner will do just nicely for Manly at this stage. Manly just been given the hurry up. Don't think it's going to be too much of a worry. Vlado Knežević is wearing as wide a smile as I've seen on his face this season on the touchline. Why not? I think they've put in one of their performances of the season, has to be said. John's delivery, well claimed by Souris. Doesn't look massive up from our broadcast position. Go and stand next to him, I promise you quickly realise just how tall he is. Still not the tallest in the competition, I don't think, in terms of goalkeepers. Zero will be giving him a run for his money, but Daniel Nizic, the Sutherland Sharks keeper, I think towers over both of them. Nearly 200 centimetres. Wait for the return of some of the injuries. It really was a crisis over the 3-month losing streak. Watch the cutback game between them and Blacktown. So managed to get up in fact, in which they were beaten in, I should say. It was just a row of injured St George players in front of me. It included Chris McStay that night, it must be said, but made his way back this week. Sounds as though Jake True has been allowed to move elsewhere during the week, so less there in their attacking start. It's not that True had been fit for most of the year. Terry Antonis is still floating around as well. Yet to make an appearance at signing at the start of the year. It's been difficult for St George in that sense. They've not had access to a lot of their better profile players over the course of the year. Similar unfortunate spell which befell them last year after such a bright start to the season. It's been a bit of a mirroring of those two. This time around they're a little closer to trouble than they'd like to be. As things will sit, they'll be just a point ahead of Blacktown, ahead of their game tomorrow against Apia, which we continue to reference. And St George City could move 5 points clear of their very close rivals, should they get a victory later tonight against Spirit. An opportunity for these 20s players, but as Manly have shown, it takes time for these guys to learn what first grade's really about. Souris has taken out John, who's still in the technical area. Manly continuing without him as de Robillard knocks the ball into Rodic, and behind for another Manly corner. John back to his feet. Aaron O'Driscoll was playing physio there. His own injury problem took him off in the first half. They haven't missed him too much tonight, Manly. They're going to go equal with the league leaders in terms of clean sheets this season, which is quite remarkable effort in itself. Ono with one more chance to deliver as we tick towards stoppage time. There's the short option. Burgess. Ono. Burgess for John. Oh, it's dangerous. Skimmed off the head of Sito, I think. Danger not cleared. De Robillard. He'd love a goal again tonight. He's still going. Stefan de Robillard flies into the side netting, ducking and weaving his way towards the 6-yard box. And I think Souris was quite happy to see that ball travel wide. He feels just lacked a bit of confidence in himself to take on runs like that. It's been freed up this year and really has helped him out. Douglas John always dribbling the ball right to the feet. In fact, he did of Rowan Fisher. Most of George players around means play could continue. A few unusual happenings with referees over the last 24 hours. Some German referee in the Socceroos game cramping up in stoppage time today. No danger of Rowan Fisher doing that. consummate professional. Lovely swivel of the hips from Coop to beat Cito initially. They are enjoying their football out there tonight, Manly United. It's been enjoyable to watch. Mike Sanchez Cruz shows 3 more minutes. Should be arbitrary, unless Manly can find a third. George, again, have not done enough to worry Mackenzie Ciron. Hasn't had a meaningful save to make tonight. It's probably going to be the story of their perspective of the evening. It's a glancing header from Coop. Bounces behind. Rest of that slate of fixtures tomorrow. In fact, I'll go through the whole thing. Sydney United taking on SD Raiders at 2:30. Out at Adenza Park, and then a treble at 3. Blacktown City versus RPL Leichhardt. Marconi versus UNSW. And Sydney FC hosting the Wollongong Wolves down at the Ellenden Sports Centre. Find all of those where you found this one on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. And all the highlights, match reports on the NPL NSW social media. Facebook, your best bets, but across X, Instagram and TikTok as well. John diving into that, but losing out in a rare moment. Farrow trying to bulldoze his way forwards. John tracking him step by step. Still he goes, Harry Farrow. And that is St George's first shot on target this evening. Fairly meek effort at the end of a winding run. It's not been any of the attacking players haven't shown enterprise. It's just not had enough service up there, really. Since the opening 10 minutes when I did look in the contest, but it's been a one-way tidal wave of blue, really, since that opening period of the match. Rodic for Farrow. A claim of consolation, perhaps. I feel that's all it will be now. Goal for St George, too little, too late. Enough to spoil a clean sheet. Cito to Yuka. And it picks out O'Donoghue. Nice touch from Burgess. Ciron happy to take the agricultural route now with seconds ticking towards full time. And it is Manly United's best performance of the season. Clean, clinical, complete. A goal either side of the break, the first to Luke Neuenhoff and the second to Jesse Perez, his first of season 2026. A complete defensive performance to partner with that. Driscoll's injury, a measure of worry, but Chipman and Neuenhoff negotiated the night without too much trouble against the St George FC side, who will be headed back to the drawing board. Their 13th loss in their last 14 in league football, with the relegation, promotion, playoff spot beckoning. Not a place they want to be. A return to Barton Park next week and hopes against Sydney Olympic. But that's it from Cromer. A very happy host of Manly United supporters making their way out of the ground. It has finished at Cromer Park. Manly United 2, St George FC 0.
gentlemen, we can confirm that the lineup for round 20 of the under 20s of NPL New South Wales men between your man and NSW and St George FC are now confirmed. They are as follows. For St George FC, number 2, Noah